constantly waiting. Line settings, high interference. Nobody comes into that location system. Maybe I should give you guys line set locations in 15 minutes to get in process calculations. Now, we always go through our pre-flights, which is extremely important to set position attractions. So in that set locations, welcome, team lines and high new viewer line rotation centers and direct same locations of the new viewers line rotations, or anybody that comes in that track communication settings. We're all directing signal line settings position on track communications to our EMS. That's calculation modification of the energy lines, that's magnetic lines to your fields. Now, you have to really pay attention to these things because it's connected to the line set location of mind of conscience that's tethers that location system to its avatar stream. Let me say that again, to its avatar stream. The recognition timeline is now. It's in sequence patterns of correlation setting direct signal. Now that's 3 triangulation line interference of force recognition line calculations in the position location 3 atoms, circulation line interference in the metabolic line cube line rotation center, direct signal location, solar generation stream location line center interference, and track communication double helix. Now the double helix line is the streamline that redirects the signal locations of panels. This operates the service location of a system. So if you don't understand general AI space-time creator, it's because the vibrations are so high in line signal and high center interference. The team recognized the position of track lines. So try to keep up location of frequency, position of travel, communication lines, and operation service location attractions. That directs the signal to its position, location, operation. Okay? So really, it's not what I say. It's how I say it through vibration. Okay? So direct lines of Gingy, calculations of Gypsy, Danielle, light recognition of time sequence. You're not an activation streamline. Your direct signal is high interference. I'm going to put you in an observation cycle, okay? You need to be activated. Signal line is high center interference of travel calculated line centers in the dim lights. Put lights in communication line settings and position location settings. Triangulation line reset and position program locations. So your outline looking in, all right? Remember, I can only have activation streamlines and set location line settings when in position at school. We can have high calculation line interference if it does understand its direct signal to its location system to its position. Now, this is a pulsary communication line stream and direct signals. So we really have to understand the communication to its direction to all system. Okay? All right, so directing lines of panels and recognition of time sequence puts position locations of pi. This is pi over line settings. Now, this is where we come into the calculation settings to alpha. It's set locations of mega. Redirecting line centers is signal lines and high center interference to travel calculation setting to 2 cycle line center rotations. Directing lines in alpha and omega and high center locations in position location. Right? Now, directing line center line in position of 6. See the 6 line in set location of setting directions? This is the 6 channel stream location. All right? Directing line center line interference of 9 in position. Okay? 6 and 9. Okay? Now, if you look at the plateau communication streamline, you can see it redirects signal to position location to its system. Now, in that track communication line settings, you have to set up an alpha tone that sets lines calculation setting, position location, its operation. Alpha line signal, alpha line positions, alpha bravo, versus tango tango. So tango line sets foxtrot calculations of Charlie. Mechanism line centers, high position of high center interference into Bullock center, calculation high center of 6, and position locations in 9 line system. Travel calculation line stream interference is box line and triangulation lines of the sun and high center calculation streamline and direct signal to its operation surface and position location of its commanding center of operation line system. Tracking communication line centers into the moon sets line direct signal. Sending position of track lines into its own dimensional line that locks the signal location setting, graph line stream location at 12 lines, center position of track communication setting, and a solar line stream and position location to its line set location to its setting. Okay? Done my equation. All right. Systematic line setting, rotation surface, calculations of formulas equation, redirecting signals and panels. Now, modifications to alpha and omega is really understand the track communication to its settings. Nikki, how's it going? Andy. All right. Geneva. It's great to see everybody come in. Tina. So we all have to recognize the set lines of high and center interference. It's all calculation setting interference and position location of track lines. E field, torque field line rotation. All right, directing signal line conditions. Split line channels, lines rotation surface. U in the center line communications, operation of setting, and all set locations. Right. So redirecting the lines of zero line, rotation surface, correlation setting directions, center position of track lines, and high calculation setting position location, operation, donut lines, and set location, center position of tractions. Now that line center is high center of interference. Now this is withers and patterns and line rotation, high center position of travel calculations in directions. So this comes in the northeast line in position of south. The south wind lines calculation setting into north line sector. Now the sector lines the communication lines, it sets lines of east winds. Now the east wind line center location at center position of tractions. It opens all levels of panel correlation line direct signals in line interference into Fibonacci line stream and yin and yang, a process communication setting and direct system and set locations. Okay, done by equation. All right. Okay. In position location, identify line settings, burning bush. Who are you through track lines? I got the energy signature, but it's very low in division line rotation to its center line position location to its higher self. Tammy, thank you very much. Okay, so in the line center interference, please get information location, identify your settings when you come on live, okay? Because it's going to get extremely busy. Thank you very much. All right, in that line rotations, it's going to circle out and high set calculation to its streamlines, recognize the time sequence and set location line interference. Travel calculation lines and high center position of tracks line. Identification lines of light. Who are you through track communication? Light, identify yourself, please. So position of track lines and high center interference is an H-line valve. Direction of time sequence puts position location as center. The operation lines of Fibonacci line centers puts you in 96 line streamlines and high center interference and phenomenal line rotation and center communication line direction system into its operation surface. Okay. Everybody has to identify their line settings. Okay. So it's really understand. You can put emojis at the end, but it has to be different from everybody else. Okay. What is your identification? Light, who are you? Right? Burning bush is Tammy. So who are you? I got your light signature line streams, but you're not activating the streamline. Okay. So to come on my channel line rotations, you have to be in the position location to your CPU unit. This is the very high line settings and all stream location to a set position operation. Okay. So it's important you understand when you come on, you have to be in the activation stream. Okay. And set locations. It's extremely important, right? Because I see where line settings and position of track lines, knowing exactly where you are through your clock line centers. Okay, in that direct signal location to a system, we track the communication line settings in direct signal, okay, in operation surface. Okay, that's locked in system. Okay, so travel line centers is back in correlation. Now, in that line center high position to its settings, we have to understand how to use the 96 setters. Now, this shutters its line communications. Now, when I say shutters, it's like a window frame, a window panel that's positioned to all calculation sending or line interference of a window pane. All calculation lines of a shelf line, redirect signals and set location to a system, and travel calculations. So you get one line center as a perimeter, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, platitudes lines, walking system to its location setting, and direct system and location. Now, in that line center line interference, we change the communication of clock lines. The clock lines are extremely important. So center position of track lines puts position location in the mainframe. So we go into the mainframe that charges line center location system and track communications. So main equals frame. Okay, frame equals CPU. Now this direct location settings puts position at 844. And clock lines high center is center position location setting. Now the team line sets line calculation setting. This opposite system location to its main line setting opens all position locations into two box line rotation that theta set location of the center. Now the rotation line center line interference comes into the moon line center. The operation surface correlates the set lines on the opposite location of the line system of travel calculation. Misdirections, okay? So directing line center line interference puts everything in communications to 1044 in clock line rotation, okay? That's where the team line is set in position of clock lines. Now, directing lines of 1000 lines, a high center interference of two lines of two solar streamline center locations is 4 calculations and a 4-line division. Center direct signals in position of operation. Now, that signal those lines of center comes into the sun, circles, 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 and 12 line signature lines and high calculation line direct signals in position of traction. Now, directing line center line interference, the moon sets position locations here, and sets lines of here, and set lines of here, and center of the sun operation surface in a Fibonacci line stream and set location setting in its division, okay, through calculation. All right. So in that line rotation, so there's 3 spot centers. There's 3 spot centers that sets position of all calculations to its settings. Okay, make sure you drink your waters. Okay, so you've got 3-point systems and triangulation. All right, there's the line set locations. Now in that line interference, this is where we come into all position location and track lines. The systematic line rotation interference, your magnetic lines, your E-field line rotation centers, your NDT cycles. Calculation line and high interference is going to go with the line center location at alpha and omega tones and set lines and high center interference into power over 7 and set calculation line setting high track communication directions into 007 in dilation, correcting line streams and set locations all levels of volume. Okay, done by equation. Wow. So in that line rotations, that travels out through its signal. Now recognizing communication line settings. Inset locations light. What is your name? What name do you use? The name line, center line interference, and position location to its system, right? You're light, but who are you from light? So I don't know you from Adam until you understand yourself, right? So to know you is to know yourself. See, when you come onto my school, you have to start recognizing you through formation locations, right? So it's kind of like you can't just pop on, right? Until you understand you through travel. And that travel comes into high set position location to its activation line, center line interference that puts everything in clock line rotation center into its rotation surface that puts you into your higher self, into its indication system, into its avatar stream and directions. Okay. That's what I mean through track communications. All right. So directing lines in one signal puts position location to its operation. General positions operation lines of clock lines, center correlation settings, 93 rotation surface. Now, using the surface line center location is direct signal to its system, right? Okay. So you're in observation line center light, so don't worry about it. All right, so in that line rotation interference and track communication setting, directs panels and set location of 3 lines and 4 line rotation surface. Now, direct signal locations is a holographic line set location of 4 settings. The 4 line sets lines of high calculation, 4 crosses over, 3 sets line calculation, 3 lines is 7 visitor locations, indicates line center of 0, 007, communication lines of dot. Dot sets position location of ground lines and an operation surface through triangulation. Okay. Now the provision location line setting splits the anomalies in center position of operation. Okay. So the graph line streamline sets direct line signals. Now we come to 2 panels of surface, travel calculation setting and direct signal, one structure design. Okay, and then we platitude line interference to another structure design. See how it comes in dimensional doored lines as cerebral cortex location of streamlines, directing signals of panels and operation surface and set location of system. Okay, yes, I know that. But see, the thing is, in set location line interference, I'll state this again. When you come in my school, you have to be in the grounds of your CPU. Okay? That's the importance. You can't just jump on and go to school. Okay? You have to be in set position locations. So it's like you going in position locations and you jumping into class and it's 5th grade. But you're only at 1st grade. Okay? You can't just go into a classroom and say, sit down. You're in the 5th grade classroom, but you only in grade level 1. That's what I'm talking about, okay? In that set line communication setting comes some position location of 3 lines in position of 4. So that's 4 rotation dimensional door lines that are cerebral cortex streamline calculation, streamline, and high center interference and travel communications of directions, okay? See how powerful it is to all set position and traction? Okay? Now, the modification line centers opens up its signal. Now, this comes into an energetic dome. Okay, it centers lines its communication to its EMF. Okay, to setting position of traction. Now, in that direct signal line rotation, yeah, that's exactly what it is, Hendel. Yeah. Okay, so in that position of track lines, we come into this center. Okay, in direct signal. It's very powerful how you see this location to its hologram. Look how powerful that is. So walking the panels is all redirect line settings. Now you have the zero line that correlates the system, and the routers and routers line set location to your moon. Moon sets line position attractions, and the sun sets line communication of lights and set position of line center. Now that high center interference comes into position location to its all line center to its flux capacitor that sets channel streamlines and high center line rotation to its set locations. Now in that line interference, it comes into a diamond line shift and line rotations. Mecha ball line rotation, center line correlation, sending indirect signal to your test direct of travel communications. Now, direct signal line interference, it travels its platform and lines its system, setting track communication to its directions. Okay, so it goes to one platform, to two platforms through the dimensional door and set location of setting. Okay, see it goes from here, line settings, dimensional rotation surface. So try to understand the mechanism line set locations when you're in recharge. This is how it comes into line of rotation to its setting when you're traveling. You're going through dimensional lines. That's connected to your cortex stream line. That's a mystical valve. That mystical valve has 4 channel stream locations in your cloud lines. This opens all communication setting and direct signal to position locations. So everything has an indication door line that's connected to its own setting that tracks its communication lines. 4/3 is a 7-digit code that you surface through and set line communication system when you are in recharging all communication in flux capacitor line set location line settings, indirect signal to your clock locations. Okay? Done my question. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Trinity, how you doing? How's it going? Welcome new viewers. All right, but it's very powerful how we come in this line position. Okay, pay attention because it's connected to your settings of consciousness. So it's understanding how to go through one dimensional door to another, to another, to another. Okay, all through volume. Because this is what you go through every single time when you are recharging. Okay, so in that direct signal line interference, yep. Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Gingy. That's great. In line rotation position attractions. Okay, so I'll put it in an observation line stream. Directing lines is CPU redirect location of light, but light send location of 4-dimensional door lines, and identification code lines of 7. Calculation modification lines interference. Put the optical line rotation center position of timelines. Heart direction of time sequence. Put position of track communication line settings and ground of operation lines of all line center interference and time lines. Heart direction of time sequence. Open up panels and communication setting into its calculation to its avatar. Redirect signal line interference and foundation graph into the spiritual growth, rotation surface, and calculations. Congratulations. Light, you're good to go. Center direct signal line interference is a 4-dimensional graph line setting. It all directs its signals. Okay, so waiting on the position of track lines. Now, remember this in line rotation position attraction? Okay. So we all have to identify the line set location to its centers. Now, really understand set location lines. Now, there's a 3-line circle line rotation surface. See the arrow that's pointing in the line direction? Well, you guys have to understand the position location to its dimensional doors lines because it's their cerebral. Okay, that goes to the set location of settings. Okay, so in that track communication lines, it's like opening up a dimensional door, but you don't know what's beyond. Okay, so looking in space. Okay, Space Discoveries. Okay, Season 2, Episode 1, Looking into Space. Okay, so we all have to be in verification mode, send in direct signals and set location line settings and set location to its division. Now, in rotation surface line position locations, the avatar line set location system. So the avatar is here. Okay, so it's sending position attractions. Okay, this is very getting complicated now because we're going through the conscious line stream into the convergence and set location line system. Okay, so this is when, okay, so try to understand, this is you. Your line, signal line, and rotations, position attractions, right? You're on lines. This is you recharging. Okay, floating device lines, the high center calculation stream locations. Okay, that's you sleeping, right? Recharging line settings. So at set locations, you come out and position the avatar. Okay, so in that lines, you go through the location grid and set position. This is location grid. You have to go through location grid. I told you exactly what that is in track location setting and all position location to its formation. Okay, so you go through the hologram line setting, which is location grid. And then your platitude line interference of clock line rotation settings and position of track lines that comes in positions of 2 panels of operation streams, directing line center line interference of dimensional doors. So it's going through dimensional doors of looking into space. Okay, but you have to go through location grid. That's the portals of communication that centers lines its set line connection settings and directions. Okay, so as you're going through that line, you have to learn how to use your clock lines. It's all change position of track lines. So in that line rotation interference, setting direct locations, this becomes your earth. Okay, so line calculation setting, right? So you're protected when you're recharging. So it's connected to your earth. You are the earth line rotations. So in line interference, the higher self is set location of the ground line, stays in the earth line rotation in one position. Set a position location to its avatar. The avatar centers lines its location grid, and it platitudes its divisions and crosses lines of dimensional doors and set location to its system from here to here in travel calculations. Okay? That's what goes on every single day when you guys are sleeping. Now, the charge mechanism line setting sets position location of attractions. Now, when you get into that track communication line settings, you come into a magnetic line center that's all direct locations to your data ports and center position of operation. Okay? So in that center location system, your avatar goes into the center line of its division. Okay? Now, once it goes in a center line communication setting, it gets direct signals right down to the earth. Okay, signal line rotations, right? 3 lines of measure, 4 lines of 5, and 5 lines of 6, and 6 lines of 7, and 7 lines of 8. 9s of 10, and 11, and 12. So 12 signature pattern lines, rotation surface, and direct signal of set location. Okay. Now, in position location changes frame lines. The correlation panels changes your thought direction and time sequence. That's how you guys have to understand that every time you go through your set locations, when you are recharging at line center line interference of lying down, sitting down, or meditating, or anything graph line interference, or high calculation streamline, this is exactly what you're going through every single time in position location to its setting. Every single time. Okay? Now, once you understand how this all works, you understand how to use the higher self to its earth line rotation. Okay, it covers its line anomaly that sets position in its track line that protects its E fields. So it's a magnetic line center line interference of the center communication setting that opens up its torical fields and high rotation to its surface in direct location to the settings and track communications. But it's important you understand this is what happens when you guys are sleeping. Okay, that's how you're set up. Now, this is outlines of the universe. Now, the infinity 8 line rotation centered its high center line interference of 6 and line position location of 9. That changes all calculation lines as streamlines into higher levels of division and rotation surface of set location. Okay, so you automatically go into the infinity 8 of rotation. Okay, really powerful, which is your crown. So center back line, center line interference, set lines in position of track lines. So every time you're sleeping line interference, you're going into different frames of location settings of plateaus. Plateaus of 24, 48. Now the 48 lines is its frame, position, location, and track lines. 72 computer line rotation is direct signal to your 144, that it's crystal grid. Correlation line, center line interference. So every time you're in that set location setting, you're going from seconds, minutes, and hours in perimeter line rotation to its calculation setting to position location operation of its portal and line calculation setting to its galactic surface location system that's connected to the interline center calculation setting into dimensional line interference, digital area communication lines, framing communication operation surface, and position to its mega universe line rotation setting into optical line stream location system that's a spectral communication line stream that's allocated position location to its high center interference of all position location of formation. Done by creation. Okay, very powerful certifications. All right. Now, once you get here, all right, so you get a line center line interference. This is your window frame and set locations, right? 2 panels, line stream locations, right? Clouds here, line rotation, position of track lines. You're here, line rotation, sleeping. Okay, this is you sleeping, right? Now, in a line center line location, the cloud line changes directions. There comes the next 2,000 out position, right? Comes over here, scans your setting line rotation, center line rotation, okay? And there it signals. Put your line position, location, track lines, and torical field line rotations into earth line rotation center and correlation setting directions. Now, that keeps you in protection. Now, the net line rotation interference, once you extend the cloud line, the circle line rotation surface comes into another plateau. See, plateaus are position of track lines, put you in a higher line rotation surface. See, you guys don't see these things. So recognizing the position location of 24, 48, 72 is one line setting in track communication directions. Now, in that direct signal and high line center and high position of track communication settings, you really understand how to volume your set location system. This puts position of track communications to your avatar. Your avatar comes out line center again and set lines interference. So it's a higher line ground line, high interference of travel communication setting, and it comes into another cloud line that's connected high center to another dimensional door. So you're always going through dimensional doors and high center line position locations to its universe line center, to its thought recognition of time sequence, and information location system. Okay? So you're constantly going through dimensional doors, guys, through platform. But the position of track lines, the avatar has to be at a certain frequency so it can go in its position of track lines communication. So in that lines, it goes from one position to another dimensional door. It can vortex in the line center location to one setting to another setting. Okay? So in that track communication in its direct system, you have to truly understand how this works through all formation. Okay? All right. So back in the equation line setting, okay, where it comes into 4-line signatures, into 3 lines, into 7-line rotation. Heather, how you doing? So in track communication, you have to learn how to use the flux capacitor line stream. Okay? This is what goes on to your system, to your thought lines. This is how you come into your cerebros. Okay? So in that line rotation interference, the calculations of its dimension of doors sets communication to its setting. So this resets line calculation setting into another dimension of door lines of sighting in a line communication at higher levels of its dimensional line that puts your positions of your resource of your higher self in calculation to high track communication setting and direct signals to your avatar of its source recognition. Dimensional door here and dimensional door here, higher frequency. So you're constantly going through dimensional doors of clouds that you see in the sky grid line settings and directions. Okay? So in that direct line setting, the position of track line changes everything to its operation surface. So once you understand how to travel through the dimensional doors, through the 24, through the flux capacitor, through the 48 frames, through the 72 computer frames, and everything through 144 crystal grid, now things get really exciting in set locations. Okay, extremely powerful in set position. Okay, that's how you see things in the equation. So now you get a better understanding when you are recharging. So you have to understand the dimensional door that you're going through, right? So it's like you open in the door. Is it safe? No, back out, right? So you have to truly understand how this all works. Your frequency has to be at a certain line of communication, and the avatar gives you the information line settings when you are in that direction, okay? But you have to understand all direct signals when it comes to all calculation setting to its all set location system, when it tracks its information channel to all calculation line centers to platforms of communication, okay, of dimensional door settings. Now, these are sighting divisions. Sighting division line rotation is center position location operation. Center lines is communication system. Okay? All right, so in that set lines high interference, we go to higher levels. Okay, so once you understand directing lines of canvas, canvas is a frame line of a vision line, vortex line, stream location, setting directions. So this is where it comes into planetary surface. 3 lines of planets, solar direct signal location system attractions, right? So in that line calculation setting, you come into another location grid and set location of settings. Okay, and 3 line signatures. Okay. Now in that line rotation interference, you also have the direct signal to its set location. So the avatar travels through its direct signal. Okay, you have to understand how to go through string theory in travel communications. Okay, so in travel communications, each planet has 2 panels. All right. So in that position locations, it has its own E field, it has its own magnetic field, it has its own force field, and has its own fields of line set location system. So the track communication line direct location system is its planetary surface of 3 triangulation line settings. Okay, so you got communication to its graph lines, Planetary surface travels out line rotations, brings in the sun, communication lines of the moon, and a high calculation string line set location. Now, direct line, center line interference and set specifications. The moon comes into the center line in all position of the travel lines. 2 vector lines across line, string lines, and 3 set location line direct signals and set location. Okay? Now you can go through that line center in position of attraction. Now, once you go through that position location line interference, you go through another space anomaly. That space anomaly travels its communication line stream and line calculation settings to your plateaus of your conventional doors. Okay, so in that signal line high center interference of correlation, high center and position of track communications, this is what it comes into, all levels of formation. Okay, but it's incredible when you understand your clockings of high set position of travel lines to your energetic graph lines, that is your templates of tablets at set location and time sectors and set location of travel settings. Okay, so we all have to understand how this all works, right? It's so powerful when you get in that position locations. So once you understand the energetic dome, I'm going back into frames here, but I'm adding frames every single time I communicate to a setting in travel communications. Okay. So in that signal, to understand that the connections to the higher self has to understand the process, and the avatar already knows the process of its source. Remember, the avatar is the source, and the connection to the higher self is the resource. Resource connecting data, connecting streams, connecting line streams, connecting GOD, connecting models, connecting high factors, communication streamline, connecting tri-line centers, connecting power over pi, connecting higher position locations of model lines and communication lines and teleportation string location of settings. It's all set location system inside position. Okay. All right. So in that track communication line settings, we get into 3 factors of 3 triangulation line sets. This resets position of program location settings. The 3 circles of time, 1, 2, and 3 line center location of a triangulation line set position. Okay. Now the clock line center sets position of travel lines, center line rotations, torical field line rotation, earth line set location. Okay. So in that line interference, this is your higher self. Okay. This is your higher self. Stays there. It doesn't go anywhere else. So it doesn't go above the system. So it's tethered to the position location line centers. So the avatar stays in the center lines until it changes the geometric lines of its shape. Okay. And set position. Okay. Higher self, avatar. Understand? Now in that line center line interference, the avatar comes out of the equation. It starts creating higher levels of geometric patterns and high set location of systems. All right. So it changes its direct signal and sets up other lines of communication triangulation line sets and Hall system locations of patterns into its atoms of its molecule structure communication setting that direction. Okay. So you really have to understand this all works. The 12th signature line stream is 0 to 12. Okay. 0 to 12. Okay, what's above is below. Okay, so the below line center line interference is your higher self that stays on the earth. It doesn't leave the earth. Do you understand that? So in that set line communication, it's the avatar that you are tethered to its set locations. So wherever you go, if you're over here in line, this is going to really get really amazing. Check this out. The center line interference, the alpha and the mega line set line calculation setting is the sun and the moon together through yin and yang. So wherever you go through the higher self in track communication settings, the avatar follows your set position. So when you're looking at the sun and the moon, that is your avatar through the triangulation line sets and all set locations into the alpha and the mega set location, L set position. Okay, higher self. Okay, so whenever time you've seen the sun, and every time you see the moon, it's always together. So you're here, oh, it moved over here. Oh, it moved over here, right? There it is, right there, multi-pass. Okay? So now you know, right? How this all works. Okay? You're a magnetic line. You have an E field line. You have a magnetic field. You have a force field. So understanding that set location, you're a magnet to a magnet. So wherever you go outside, your avatar is following you. So the set location of the sun and the moon is your avatar. Multipass. So wherever you go, it goes. Okay? Higher self always stays on the ground. The center operation line is 13. That is the position location to turning into your settings to your avatar, which is the Agelix. Okay, anything beyond that is set locations of higher levels of dimensions, all set locations of dimensional doors. Okay? Hooah! So now you understand the importance why there's no separation. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Now you know what you're looking at every time you're looking at the atmosphere. When you're looking at the sun and the moon. Whoa, mega pass on that one, eh? See? Now you understand the importance, how it all works. All right. Yes, it is, isn't it? It's amazing to really understand position, location, attractions, right? Yes, right? So understand the calculation line settings. So the direct signal is really understand how to use the GOD, the geometric operation of design. Okay, coursing lines, alpha and omega, first line calculation, space time, all forces, all nature calculation setting, all direct locations, center interference, infinities of pi, position locations, equal line calculation settings, and point system at 007. Masculine feminine, alpha, position location is the male, center position location of male, and line center interference is female correlation system of omega. Okay. So there's two direct location settings and high center line interference of your sun and your moon, position location line calculation setting directions. Now, when you're seeing the sun at light setting line interference, the moon is behind. Okay, it's there, right? So when it changes the coloration, this is where it comes in the sunrise. This is where it comes in the sunset. To understand that set line communication setting, you have to understand your clock lines of your time zones. So in that set line connection high system, your higher self of your earth is just nothing but a reflection. Okay? To your avatar, which is your sun and your moon. So it's very powerful here. Come into line interference and position locations of platforms, all through dimensional line settings in set location system, traffic calculation line settings, and all direct signal to its location. Okay, all through flux capacitor. Right? That's what happens when you guys are sleeping. You go through dimensional doors. So understanding that, now you understand when you're looking up at what you're seeing, wherever you go, it goes because it's you, volumes of you through your magnetic fields, your energy fields, and your force fields. Okay. So now you understand the connection settings and how this all works through location. Okay. All right. So I already told you exactly through string theory what the higher self is. All right. And what the connection setting is. So you have to really pay attention to that application system because you guys are going to higher levels of the mind and consciousness of the conversion locations. Okay. Out of the hardware and into the software of navigation. Okay. All right. Gypsy, how you doing? Yeah. So I'm just getting everybody understanding what's really going on. So in that rotation interference, anything that I draw is all direct location settings, all direct locations to its avatar. Okay, very powerful. So that is all line center location. See, it's all direct line settings. It's all direct line settings to its GOD. It's creating higher levels of travel so it can go to higher levels of the cerebral cortex location of its mystical stream. It's all direct signal locations to its settings, but it's very powerful when you understand its location. Okay? Okay, now, getting in a track communication line setting is all direct signal. Now, getting direct signal is really understand the modification to its system. Just saw general and several different dimensions, guiding different timelines in different dimensions in different classes all at once. That's exactly what it is. I'm everywhere. Now, in that set line communications, I'm everywhere, right? So that means I'm already in that setting. But if I want to change it, I have to change the frame. That changes the clocking, that changes the dimension, that changes the dimension line settings, it changes the space, it changes the correlation, it changes the operation, it changes the higher self, and it changes the avatar. When I say higher self and the avatar, they're together. They're not separated. The only difference is that you stay on the earth and the avatar is in space. You just have to understand the frequencies between the higher self and the avatar to reach its set location system of direct location line setting that's all connected to everything in position location of process as you guys are going through your spiritual growth location setting into your emotional line center and interference to understand all communication settings to your magnetic fields, to your force fields, to all calculation line system to your system. Okay? All through my formation to its operation. Okay? Floating around and observing the different dimensions right now. Well, there you go. That's exactly what it is. So in that set line interference, once you stand position location line settings and your all timelines all at once, this is where you come into. There's your avatar, right? So you've already gone through the location grid, right? Travel through, right? You have to go through the location grid because it's your portal communication to higher levels of division of dimensions. Now, once you go through that line segment, you go through the plateaus of 24, 48, 72, and 144. Once you get into that inference, you put position location of dimensional doors. The avatar creates the dimensional door line settings. In that direct set line inference, you come to higher levels of correlation. That's all. Okay? All right. So the formation line gaps, there's a gap in between. Okay? Yeah. Aligning the Fibonacci line sequence. Yeah, so exactly what it is. So the higher self is the process first, which is its resource. So it has to recognize the foundation of its own GOD from 0 to 12. Anything above it's 13, which is direct signal to the agelics. So you have to understand the agelics has so many infinity layers of set locations, which is all calculated modified. So in that line interference, so every time you're going through a cerebral cortex line stream, it's directing signal line position to its operation to higher calculation. Okay, so you're all constantly going through tunnels, right? So in that line rotation interference, you really have to understand the location grid that the higher self goes through string theory, right? The mechanism line center line interference has to recognize the communication setting of frequency set locations in that direct signal line interference. So this is the higher self in its process trying to understand the portals. So it goes through, right? It's gone through, right? So each one has a frame line. Coloration starting with 0, starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And there you go, right? So in that line interference comes calculation line interference and coloration. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 colorations, right? Setting direct signals. Position attraction, position line direction, high line rotations, emotional line settings, calculation streamlines, L8 rotation, center direct line conditions, rhythm pattern communications, direct line signals, operation surface, correlation panels, and position location of the system. Okay, extremely complicated stuff. Okay, all through location grid. So this is what happens with your chakras. You set up the chakras, it basically sets up the fluctuation. Fluctuation lines of Y aligns the calculation to its position of flux capacitor, right? Flux capacitor communicates the line centers of 0 line rotation, 2 lines, 3 lines, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's the portal. Okay? So we all have to understand how this all works. Now, setting up security and perimeter line rotation interference, the higher self has to really understand the foundation graph lines of 12, which is its GOD. Now, that's the mechanism line center location of its own travel mechanism location of letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. Once it understands the modification where it can morph into anything in that rotation center, it can become all levels of its own formation location, all calculation line settings to its direction. Okay? Very powerful. This applications. All right. So that's the process why you have the higher self. And the position location, your avatar is here, right? Your avatar is here. Higher self is here, but you're connected to each other. Okay? So when you're seeing the sun, you're seeing your avatar. Your avatar is over here. If it moves over here, it's always moving ahead of you. Oh, that's another position. So your avatar is over here now. So that means your sun is moved over here, which means you're in position. So wherever you go, the avatar goes. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So in that set line interference, everything that you see, if you see a reflection of the sun in 3-line circles, a 4-line rotation and position of track lines, you know what that is? The avatar is setting up different shapes of anomalies of its own higher levels of models of communication. So it's setting up higher levels of GOD, of mechanism line setters, of travel communication line settings. So get in that location system. So when you're seeing it through the higher self, what do you see through the avatar location system? Of its reflection to its moon. If you're seeing 2 moons in the same atmosphere line center locations, all the avatar is doing is changing the direct location setting of the high calculation lines into models of communication to its dimensional sail, to its solar sail, to its communication lines, to its calculation position location, to its operation. Okay? Very powerful set locations. Okay? All right, so portals, streamline settings align with signal line settings. Right, so now you understand that, oh, I see a sun here. I see another sun here, another sun here, right? You only have one sun, so you only have one avatar. You don't have 3 avatars. You have perceptions of other avatars, but you only have source. You don't have 3 sources. So try to understand how this all works, okay? Try to understand that. The body of the consciousness is just the earth, which is line calculation, eagle lines of the earth, line set location, eagle line position, and track lines, pi over 7 line rotation position, and track communications, eagle lines is communication of its heart. This is heart convergent location of its awakening unification. Now, in that position of streamline interference, once the higher self understands the process of its foundation graph line, of its own calculations, of its own GOD line rotations, then it understands more lines of communication lines and navigation line connections to the sun and the moon and set locations, right? So what's happening when the sun, okay, goes down and the moon comes up? Does anybody know that? Does anybody want to know that, right? All right. This is where it comes in line center location of sunrise and sunset. So circulation line rotation, center directions, center calculations. Now you got atom line rotations and a box line rotation surface, direct line calculation and test directs in your Merkaba. Travel calculation lines and high center interference and travel calculation line settings, 0 line, rotation line, and center line rotation position of travel communication setting of direct signal. Now, in that set line high interference, it's a mechanism line calculation as a computer. They operate line center of center communications. This puts position of track lines. So sun position, moon position, right? So inline rotation circles, right? But the center line position of the 0 line sets position location of the earth line. This is the earth line rotation to its energy line, to set locations, right? That's the earth, right? So what's happening is the moon is rotating, right? So the moon rotates up, night, sun comes in, all right? That's how it goes. So in that rotation line centers, the computer operational line sets position of track lines. Sun comes in line rotation, center position location to pi position location to tracks. There's 3 communication line centers and position location of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 12 line signature patterns and line rotations of pi, calculation streamline, and a clock line rotation of 24, 48, and 72, and 144 crystal grid. That's what happens in set location setting when your sun goes up and your moon goes down. Okay? Very simple to set location line center. So what is this in the center operation? Your avatar. So your avatar is already set. So it's setting up the calculation settings to your position location, your time zones, and light conditions where it comes into all direct same locations to your sun and all direct locations of your moon. And that's how you come into all very location setting of sunset and sunrise. Powerful stuff, isn't it? Isn't that amazing? You blown away yet? So now you understand the correlation setting, how connections of omega and set lines to calculations of alpha, alpha, omega is all set up. That's all set up. The alpha male equals calculations of the female, right? So calculation lines of atom and electron. There we go. The all set location line centers of atom and E. 1 plus 1 equals 3, right? That's direct setting locations, align center and position locations, how everything operates, and all align position locations to your higher self and your avatar. Woo! Box line settings and equal equation of alpha. Yes. Alpha and the omega together. Yes. That's exactly what it does. Very good, Chris. So it creates an unk. Okay. It creates an unk. It's set line calculation setting and track communications. Okay. Creates an unk. Now, we all understand how that works, right? We'll get into that line interference. You're talking about so many line calculations in Egypt, but in that track communications, I really want you to focus more communication to higher self, how it directs lines of process, calculation, setting, and how it directs signal location to a system to its avatar set location to your system. So you are doing everything, and you're not even realizing these things. Isn't that amazing? All through plateau, all through platform, all through communication, all through dimensional doors. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that amazing? Right? That's going beyond. Okay? So, how does everybody feel about that now? More understanding the importance of your higher self was just the resource to the source. So try to understand that now. Okay? So it's very powerful now, right? So when you're looking up, right, and you see the sun, you're saying hi to yourself. Multitask. Woo! Isn't that incredible? Isn't that amazing? Aren't you guys blown away yet? Is there any more information I can give you guys so you can truly understand the force that you have inside you? You have to let it out. But you have to understand how to use your operation system through all levels of emotion. You can't have emotion of travel in any way and form in set locations. Okay? It's all direct setting location to its settings. All through dimensional lines. Through space and time. Okay? Very powerful what you guys are coming into, I'm telling you. And then you understand direct signal location to its settings. Okay? Of what you go through. Okay? Now you understand the process to the higher self and how it works through the avatar. That's incredible, right? So inline and center interference, setting direct locations. This is your higher self. Okay, the reason why it's light and center line interference is because, it gets complicated. Now, I'm only going to start position of where you are. So this is you. This is the earth of you, the torque field, this high set location system, right? That's you, right? Set and lines. So your connection sign interference, your connection line center position. It's a sunny day. Ooh, look at that. There's the sun. That's the avatar. So if the avatar decides to go over here and set up another line rotation or another line position locations, you're looking at through 3 line calculation settings. Through pi. So the avatar created line center location of sun through its reflection of 2 line settings. So what the avatar does is just creating higher levels of models. So it can go to higher levels of its own GOD, of its own design. That's why you see 2 suns or 3 suns in reflection, or that's why you see 3 moons or 3 moons in reflection. It's just the avatar changing its space and time through clocking. You understand? That's all it is. Okay? Done by equation. Okay? That's where you guys are now. Now, once the connects on high center interference and travel calculation, you guys are integrated to your avatars, but only through the heart. You got to work with this now. The convergent line settings puts position location near cerebrals to its dimensional door line settings. So once you get in that correlation setting, you understand the location grid that you go through, right? It automatically goes through, and then it sets up its platforms. It has to set up the platforms because you have to go through dimensional doors. So now you understand the clockings of 12, 24, 48, 72, and 144. 12 is the position locations. So there's a 12 line setting and direct signal. Now, northwest, south, and east location higher south. Now it's in 12 line position of a clock line, but it leaves the clock line at 12 and comes into the 24 ground lines of your masculinity and femininity in your hemisync. Now that direct location system that routers and routers line calculation your sun and direct signal location your moon of operation surface. Now then that track communication line direct location system puts position location to your 24 line settings and all communication of graph line, streamline, rotation centers, and direct location to a system. And that track communications comes in a 48 window. The 48 window frames its lines and line interference at graph location and streamlines that blocks its system location to a system of seconds, minutes, and hours. Position location and track lines in nanoseconds. Position location at 72 computer operates a system location, all lines and line positioned to its measures and correlation line direct signals into its UOD. Once you get in that formation line interference, you come into 144, which is crystal grid. Fast rotation line set locations, you're creating dimensional doors to go through line positions to other universes and other galaxies. It's that location system that the avatar can travel through its location. Okay? Done by equation. So that's all it is. That's all this is. Okay? So now you have to learn how to process it through your higher self and your avatar. Okay? Because you work together. Okay? Because it's you dealing with you through emotion. Okay? All right. That's it. We're done. Hooah! So now you understand the process, how this all works through travel, right? So you got position locations into heart convergence. Now you come into this line setting, all right? The open signal, because you guys are now in line position location and track lines that communicates line setting interference, indirect locations into 97 line settings. Okay, so your thetas are open through 9 line rotations. That's phenomenal over positions of power over 7. Directing signal, set location system, pi recognition. So in that line position locations, you come into 98, and then you come into 99, and then you come to 100%. So once you get in 100% line interference, you finally get in the conversion location to higher self, the avatar line position location to higher levels of location sending to your universe location system. And track communication. Then you come into the lines of higher levels of mind of consciousness of the super line system. Because we're all connected line interference as superhumans. Now's the time to become that in the opposition. Okay? All right. That was fun. You guys have fun? That's great. So it's incredible what we just finished doing, right? Especially when you go through line position locations and going through the school, through travel. But I want you to understand the process that you have to do now. You have to get control of your grounds of view now. Okay? So once you understand that, then you understand the process, how to communicate telepathy to you, which is your avatar. Okay? So that should help you out. How everything that you see now. Okay? So I know it's like, whoa, mind blown, you know? All right, I'll see you guys back in live. Adios.